Hello there, in this video you're going to learn how I use Duolingo as a language learning tool. So we're going to see a lot of tips, a lot of advice to use Duolingo, and we're also going to review this online application. So how is it as an online language learning tool? Is it good? Is it bad? What are the advantages and what are the disadvantages? So once you've made a profile on Duolingo.com, Duolingo will ask you to choose a language that you would like to learn. However, if you're already a member of Duolingo and you want to just add a new course, you'll be in a screen that is similar to mine, and you'll just have to click here on the little flag here, add a new course. And there you can choose all the language courses for the English speakers. If you're a polyglot, or if you want to learn multiple languages at the same time, and say you've already learned German or any other language, let's check which languages you can get here, Spanish, and you want to learn French in Spanish, then you just click here. So we're not going to go for that option, and we're going to go for English. I'm going to go to the Dutch course, which is right here. There are many active learners. Duolingo is a very popular app. So let's start the Dutch course. You'll get some information, and then we want to start learning Dutch from English. So once you're in the course, Duolingo will ask you whether you want to take a placement test. That means if you already have some knowledge of Dutch, or if you're an advanced student, then you can take a placement test, and they will ask you a few questions to check out if you're really an advanced student or not. If not, you'll just have to begin with the basics 1. If you scroll down a little and you see it here, you'll see many of these circles: basics 1, basics 2, phrases 1, neg 1, that means negation, saying no, food, animals, questions, and each of these little circles is a chapter, like a chapter in a book. So once you've opened this chapter, you'll learn about food. In this chapter you'll learn about animals and so on in the Dutch language, but they are still gray because you haven't reached basic 1 yet. So you'll start with the basics 1, and then you'll learn the basics 2, phrases 1, unless you take a placement test. So let's hit the basics 1. And well, this is the first kind of questions that Duolingo will ask. They're not that many, but you'll see a picture or an icon, and you'll have to select the right answer, which is really great. So the boy, well, there's a good guess that this means that this is the boy. And you check once you've selected the right answer. And apparently I was correct, which is good because I'm a Dutch teacher and I should know these kind of things. So then you just continue, and then you'll have the second one. This is again the same type of question, so select the word for the man. This really helps because sometimes there's pictures, and this helps visual learners. So you'll have to translate this word that is here into the picture or the icon that is shown on the screen. And now, this was obviously also right. And now this is the exercise that is most used in Duolingo. There's a sentence here, een jongen, and you have to translate it in English, and you get a few words here, so you have to make the translation of this phrase or this word into the English version. What is a really good trick when you're a little bit more advanced, or even if you already have some knowledge, is to first try to translate it without looking at these words here in English down below. So you will train yourself to know this word without looking at the translation. If you're really an expert, then you can just click here, which I would advise you to do, and then you'll hear the pronunciation of een jongen. So you click there, and then a voice will read out een jongen. So if you're a real expert, you just click here and you try to find a translation without looking at the word. here, and then you check it. Because the more you listen to the language without looking at it, the easier it will be for you to understand what is being said. So try to not to focus on the English translation, but first at the words here and the audio file. So een jongen, if you hover over the words, then you will see the translation as well. Try to avoid it as much as possible. Try to do it after the exercise. And jongen, that's boy, so you would put a boy. So that's a boy. Also, you can see here there's a capital, which already gives you an indication of what the first word will be. So that's not really good, because then you will focus on the English and not on the Dutch. So let's check it here, and it is correct. And woman, well, there's the woman. Een vrouw en een jongen. If you listen to it, you'll hear it in Dutch. That's a woman and a boy. Let's hope I'm right. Oh, yes. And then ik ben een man. That is I am a man. There you go. And then here, that is one of the other options. So there are 3 types of questions. The first one is these pictures. The second one is the ones that is mostly used. These sentences you have to find a translation for. And this one is also the third option. So Duolingo will give you a sentence here. I am a woman, and you have to select the right translation. Now, there are some options here. Ik ben uit dame. This is a wrong sentence. So don't try to translate these sentences into English. That's not good. Try to translate it without looking at the solutions. So if you're an expert, just find a translation for this, and then afterwards check whether this solution is in between the answers. So this is check, and then you continue. And then you got +10 experience, and this is a bit the game of Duolingo. It gamifies a bit your language learning, and then you just hit the continue button, and then you can have challenges and so on. That's the game that Duolingo is. And then you see here in Basics 1, this goes up. And there's, I think, 5 chapters here. Yeah, there's 5 levels here you have to achieve. And then you will achieve the Basics 1 level, and then you can continue and go on to the Basics 2 level. However, if you feel uncomfortable, there's 4 lessons. So there's 4 times what we've just been through. So, and then there's 5 levels. If you want to repeat your learning, then Duolingo will give you similar vocabulary. Will give you similar questions as the ones we've had. So in the first 4 lessons, you can go to level 1 and 2 and 3 until up until 5. So you will get the same questions with the same words. So if you feel comfortable after these 4 lessons to continue learning, then you just go to Basics 2. So that's basically it, how Duolingo works. Now let's take a look at the many advantages Duolingo offers. The first one is it is completely free, so you don't have to pay to learn, which is great. The second one is that you can choose how much and where you're learning your language. If you want to learn just for 2 minutes when you're waiting at the bus stop, that's okay. Or if you want to spend a whole afternoon learning, that's also okay. You can just do it. A third major advantage is that it offers new words in a context. It slowly builds up, so the first words, you will often see them back, and that is really good because it reinforces your knowledge. So you get a sentence that you already know, and then there's a new word, and then you'll be building up the knowledge without going back to your own language. And another last major advantage is that Duolingo really pushes you to learn on. You didn't see how many emails Duolingo has already sent me, but they sent, well, 1 every day if you're learning every day. So that's really, really great. And you get reports and challenges So if you're into that, it's really great to have this support from Duolingo. Now let's take a look at the disadvantages. The major disadvantage is that it translates. And what do I mean by translation? Well, you always have, in most exercises, you have the translations offered to you. So if you're looking for the translation of a particular sentence, if you only read the English translation, well, you can already know, it's probably going to mean that. So translation, I try to avoid it in my language lessons because it's better if you try to find solutions in the language you're learning. And if you always go back to your own language, it's like activating two different parts of your brain, whereas it's better to only have this one part of your brain active and really stimulating to get your target language, so the language you're learning, at a better level. So this translating, well, it's not so good, and also because you're translating, it means that you don't have a conversation. If you're having a conversation in the language you're learning, well, you won't be translating all the time like, this words mean this words. No, you have to know it like right now. And of course, Duolingo is an online application, so you can't have a conversation with an online application. And one minor disadvantage is that sometimes you use and you learn words that are not really relevant. So, conclusion. Do use Duolingo as a language learning tool. I highly recommend it. I use it myself. There are many ways to use it, but make sure to combine it with other ways to learn languages because it reinforces your language learning. So don't use only Duolingo. Also use language lessons or read books or, anything, but don't use it as your only source of language learning. And also don't forget to subscribe, of course.